1, 2, 3. So, someone told me that my microphone is not good for making YouTube videos, and I changed it, and I hope that it's not too much to speak about such important topic as women's rights, especially right now when they are being thrown under the bus by trans rights activists and those who support them because they want to be inclusive. They want to use inclusive language. They want to be so kind. Meanwhile, they don't even know what they support. Yes, the majority of people do not understand what they support. They do not understand the agenda that's coming with this dangerous ideology. And it is dangerous. And today I will speak about why I care so much. So when a woman says that she hates patriarchy, when she stands against patriarchy, it is what? Standing and brave, right? But when a woman says that she's against queer patriarchy, that men cannot be women, that men cannot be lesbians, she's a bigot and she has to be cancelled, and she is a terf. So this is the language that they use against women who disagree. And again, this stands only for women. It's not something that they call men, right? So due to the recent events, it brought so much more, well, how do I say it? That's so much more than disagreement. That's rage, basically. And I will explain why exactly I stand against this ideology and why I think that this is so important. So, getting back to the recent events. If you heard there was a mass shooting, 6 people, in a Christian school, 3 kids and 3 adults. The crime was committed by a woman who identifies as a man. I just like the media response. So when there is a man who thinks that he is a woman and he commits a crime, and there are so many of them. So when it happens, the media says a woman, her testicles, that's a woman. And when it is a transgender man, which is a female, the media also says that it's a woman. I'm curious, are we trying to change the statistics? Because as we know, the majority of crimes are committed by men, over 90%, especially violent crimes towards people, especially towards women. They are committed by men mostly, but now we will definitely change the statistics. If we call everyone a woman, everyone is a woman, don't you think so? And how is that supposed to be any beneficial for actual women? We cannot speak about women's rights, about women's safety, if we cannot define what a woman is, if anyone can be a woman. This is ridiculous even to speak about it. I care about it as someone who cares for women just in general. Women's safety has been my main thing to speak about. Because I come from the circumstances, I come from Russia, where women's rights don't matter. We don't even have the law against domestic violence. And this is as serious as the things that are happening nowadays. For now, since I'm not in the US, I'm not in Europe, I see that as if these things, they exist only online. And all these people, I'm not surrounded by these people. And by the way, I want to remind you that I live in the country that has probably the biggest amount of trans women. But there are no trans men. Yeah, because that's clearly not a fetish. And that's clearly not a thing that men want from both sides, of course. And again, I'm not saying that there are no actual trans people, but the amount is so insignificant in comparison to those who identify as trans. And I know that there are sane trans people who stand also against this madness, who support women's rights, female-only spaces, and they can see what actually is going on. So getting back to the recent events, this woman, Kellie-Jay, Let Women Speak movement. She came to New Zealand recently to speak for women. So this man who identifies as a woman came to the stage, spilled some soup on her because this red paint or soup, whatever, represents blood of our people, and she's promoting it. She's not promoting that. She is talking about female-only spaces. Women have to speak. Imagine that you are a woman who was raped and you have to share the same space in a rape crisis center with a man. And I'm not speaking about trans woman who wants to pass as a female, because most trans women, they have nothing to do with this activism, trans activism, because this activism goes from fetish-driven men who want their own identities to be verified. Imagine that you're a woman in prison and violent rapists, all of a sudden they identify as a woman and they're sent to female prison, and you have to share a similar space with them. All this trans activism, it targets women and women's spaces. Like, men don't care. Like, men will keep living their own life. This all comes to women. Imagine that you get raped by a man who, again, all of a sudden identifies as a woman. And the court demands you to use the preferred pronouns of the rapist. So it's like another woman raped you. So these trans activists in New Zealand, they celebrate how abusive they were towards women who came to speak. There were quite a lot of them. Yeah, which shows that there are a lot of people who support this madness. So they circled them. Imagine if they had fallen down. And probably it's some kind of like virtue promoting when a man punches a 70-year-old woman in the face. Yeah, that's progressive. Actually, there is a rule. Whatever a man does to a woman, that's a crime as soon as it's a cisgender male. But if this man identifies as something else, that's the marginalized minorities strike back. Just remember this, the creepiest man on TikTok, Jeffrey Marsh.
Hi kids! Hey kids!
So imagine that if it was like a man who says that he is a man, if he was speaking to children, hey children, your parents do not understand you. They do not deserve you. But here's me, come to my Patreon. By the way, yeah, he's deleting all his TikToks that target children. Yeah, funny. Why? So, and when a woman speaks against the man, when she disagrees, just like that Muslim woman who was speaking against him, yeah, and his fans found her, they doxed her, they threatened her and her children. They found where she lives. So now she's crying and apologizing. Like, imagine apologizing to Jeffrey Marsh. Like, what kind of threats should be getting to apologize to this person? Also, currently, I'm like watching this butchery online. I follow one wonderful woman who speaks about female anatomy and about the clitoris and about how doctors don't know female anatomy fully, how they perform surgeries on female genitalia without even realizing what they are doing. And she found this project where an artist made casts of female genitalia, like of different women, and you can see just the casts. And she pointed out the fact that one of these vulvas didn't look female, that it was a trans vulva. And she was right. Like this, it has no clitoris. Isn't it pretty clear? And she contacted the artist and she was right. And she was speaking about it. Because this project is supposed to be about female genitalia. Trans women, like whatever you identify, that's in your hand. You are not female. Like, you're not supposed to be speaking about it at all. You're not supposed to be included in these conversations, because trans women, these are not some subcategory of women. They constantly keep trying to compare like trans women. Oh yeah, they are just like black women, just like some subcategory of women. I think that's horribly offensive towards black women to be called as some kind of like subcategory of women. Why are they still okay with this? I don't understand. So yeah, she started speaking about it, and some women said, yeah, but my pussy looks exactly the same. And that was a sex worker who said it. Her pussy does not look the same. Like, she clearly has a clitoris. Or men say, yeah, I've seen a vulva that looked exactly the same, and I pleasured that with my tongue. That's interesting. And you had zero questions to this woman that she had no clit. Like, how is that okay? So now this trans mob calls her a perv, calls her a creep. Why do you care? Exactly, why do you care? Why don't you care? Oh yeah, this is so weird. This is so weird to think what's in someone's pants. Imagine if we had these conversations about penis. Like, we don't know what a penis is. We've never seen a penis, but why does it matter? You know, there used to be basically one thing that prevented science from studying female anatomy. That was religion. Nowadays, it's trans ideology. Like, okay, thank you so much. We're so grateful. We're so grateful because it does not matter what's in your pants. So we shouldn't talk about it. We shouldn't study it. Oh yeah, let's not talk about women's issues, women's genitalia, women's anatomy, women's this, women's that, just because it's gonna offend trans women, just because they don't feel included into the conversation. And especially, let's talk about the reasons, why people protect this. For example, if they are not trans. In general, this is like this virtue signaling. Be kind, spread the virtue, because still many people come, if we talk about older generations, like mine, like millennials and even older, we come from the times when these people, like LGBT people, didn't have any rights. Like, if you speak to Russian people about it, most of them would be like, hey, yeah, faggots. But those who actually care, they wouldn't understand the level of issues that are in the West. The West reached the peak of being spoiled. That's the thing most people want to support. Because most people understand that, okay, yes, it has to be about like respecting the person, their choices, their self-expression, that they're free to live their life the way they want. But this is not what's happening now. If trans activism is the reason why we stop studying female bodies, why we stop talking about women, that's a big problem, a huge one. So most people just want to be kind. And when I see that women like trying to protect trans women, trying to sound inclusive, like being high on being virtuous, they say, oh yeah, like my pussy looks exactly the same. Like, have you seen it? So it doesn't have any clitoris. Or when women speak about men in female bathrooms and they're like, oh, like they discussing the bulge. Some women say, oh yes, like I also have a fat pussy. Is it a crime to have a fat pussy? The bulge is the dick, like that's not the fat pussy. I'm pretty sure that soon enough women are going to say that they also have penises in order to be inclusive, in order to support their trans sisters. Yeah. So this is women's reasons, because women are so empathetic. They just want to be kind and good. What about men's reasons to support this? Like male feminist leftists. I tried to pay close attention, actually, and I spoke to those people, to those men who support not just trans women, not just transsexuals, because transsexual is a slur. Those who support trans activism and gender ideology. These are a little bit different things, significantly. These are the fans of she-male porn. I already mentioned that, yeah? The amount of trans women and the amount of trans men. No one really wants trans men. I'm not speaking like in a derogative way about them. I'm speaking that like in a sexual way. That's not the fantasy. That's not a sexual fantasy. Like no one, like it's just like not that popular. But a trans woman is a porn category. Like she-male porn is so freaking popular. I live in the country of sex tourism. Like, men come here specifically for a girl with a dick. Whenever I got to speak to a man who was defending, like, who was supporting, that's always something connected to loving a girl with a dick. Yeah, and one of the reasons is internalized homophobia. Oh yes, I love a penis, but I'm not gay because that's a woman. Of course you're not gay. Like, imagine a male feminist who tells you that you shouldn't care about it because that's not a significant issue for women. Are you, like, mansplaining right now? There is another term which is called transplaining. It's when a man explains it to you what it's like to be a woman, what you're not supposed to be. After everything that we've seen, I will consider everyone who uses the word terf a supporter of child murders, of abuse against women. This is what you support? And speaking about the minority, well, I'm not even sure anymore. You know, like men with fetishes, that's quite a big category of people. But yeah, probably there would be, of course, less than any other man. However, are they marginalized? Yeah, because they cannot wear a dress of a little girl and to go to the playground, to affirm their identity, which is desirable. Like, this is insane that we even have to speak about it. This is madness. Like, what's in your head is more important than the actual reality, because reality does not exist, right? This is not the talk about how many genders are there. This is not about it. It's all about punching women in the face now. And when I speak about these topics like genarchy, matriarchy, goddess worship, what about trans women? When women create women's circles for healing, to concentrate on our wombs, how we're hurt by patriarchy. Again, what about trans women? A woman and a trans woman. Like, even if we take a trans, like an actual trans woman, and by an actual trans woman, I mean a person with a gender dysphoria. That's like their thing. In order to be a trans, you don't need to have a gender dysphoria. It can be whatever you want. Sounds quite schizophrenic to me, honestly. A trans person is a person with gender dysphoria. But again, a person who understands that gender dysphoria, that's a disconnection between your body and your brain. It's not some female brain in male's body. That sounds kind of woo-woo magical. This is not how it works. So this is the disconnection. This is you. This is not someone else. Other people, they don't owe you anything. They don't owe you any approval or any acceptance. You have to do something to be accepted. Why are you expecting cis? Actually, cis is a slur. I don't use the word cis. That's not women's job to approve your identity. Why don't men have these issues? Why no one pushes that on men, only on women? Like a male feminist told me. Yeah, but okay, even if your daughter sees a penis in a female bathroom, so what? Just tell her that some women have penises. Women do not have penises. All this gender stuff, like the amount of genders that people created, or even not created, because Talmud also has 100 genders. Yeah, as if Talmud is some kind of reliable source of information. I just like how people Yeah, but do you know that in the Bible, all of a sudden they decided to check some holy books to find the proof that there were trans people? Yes, people of different identities have always existed. This is not the issue. Especially gender nonconformity is not an issue. The ideology is the issue. And this is the movement against women. This is the movement that promotes violence towards women. Have you seen their slogans? These boots stomp terfs, kill terfs. They always wanna hurt women. Like, what's that? Another person, also who identifies as trans, was tweeting about her boner when Kellie-Jay was terrified. And this person was getting a boner. But other than that, no, this topic is not important. Be kind. Okay, to sum it up, the main idea of the video is that I care so much because that's a new form of patriarchy. This is queer patriarchy, neo-patriarchy, whatever you call it. This is patriarchy in the most gaslighting form. When women support it, when women applaud, yay! Men can be women, yay! When they promote the box thinking.
That's transphobic. That's offensive.
If you do not support, if you don't believe in genders, you believe in God. If you say female genitalia, you're a terf, which means you're a feminist, even if you're not a feminist. You're a bigot, 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 bigot. Okay, that's it for today. No kinky content. I know, so sad. Bye.